Welcome to Hinterkaifeck, a remote farm in southern Bavaria where one of Germany's most horrific unsolved crimes took place in 1922. 5 members of a family were brutally murdered, their bodies left to rot on this isolated land for days. On March 31, 1922, Andreas and Cecilia's grandchildren arrived at the farm for Easter celebrations. But something went terribly wrong that night. The investigation into the Hinterkaifeck murders was one of the largest and most complex in German history at the time. But despite collecting hundreds of statements and interviewing scores of witnesses, police were unable to catch a single suspect. To this day, the motive behind the killings remains unknown. Was it a robbery gone wrong? A family feud? Or something far more sinister? The Hinterkaifeck farm murders remain one of Germany's most enduring unsolved mysteries. On March 31, 1922, Andreas Gruber, his wife Cecilia, their daughter Victoria, and their farmhand, Anton Leschleitner, were brutally murdered on this remote farm in Bavaria. The police investigation that followed revealed a shocking lack of evidence, but some interesting clues. A torn piece of fabric was found near the scene, which would later become crucial to the case. The fabric was analyzed and matched to a dress worn by Victoria Gruber's cousin, Maria. This raised suspicions about Maria's involvement in the murders, but she denied any wrongdoing. The police couldn't prove anything, and Maria was eventually cleared as a suspect. The investigation focused on the Gruber family's relationships with their neighbors. Andreas Gruber had been in a dispute with his son-in-law, Joseph, over some land issues. Some theories suggest that Joseph might have been involved in the murders to get his hands on the farm. Despite the efforts of the investigators, the case remains unsolved. Theories abound, but no one has ever been charged or convicted in connection with the murders. The Hinterkaifeck farm stands as a haunting reminder of the brutal violence that can occur when secrets and tensions boil over. On April 30, 1922, investigators arrived at the farm to find the horrific scene. They collected physical evidence, including a bloody axe handle and a torn piece of fabric caught in the door latch. The investigation begins at Hinterkaifeck farm, where Andreas Gruber's wife Cecilia was found brutally murdered in her bedroom. Police collected evidence from the scene, including bloody footprints and torn fabric. But as they combed through the property, they realized that something was off, no signs of forced entry or struggle. Police discovered that the family's farm equipment was still intact, suggesting that the killer may have been someone they knew. They found a pitchfork, an axe, and other instruments of violence, but no signs of struggle or resistance from the victims. Andreas Gruber was a 51-year-old farmer, known to be hot-headed and temperamental. Investigators suspect that he may have been involved in his own murder, but there's no concrete evidence to support this theory. They're also considering other suspects, including the family's hired hand, Andreas Reichel. Andreas Reichel had been working for the family since 1922, but his relationship with Andreas Gruber was strained. In fact, Reichel had recently left the farm after a heated argument with Gruber. Was this a motive for murder? Investigators are still searching for answers in this complex and disturbing case. Despite extensive investigations and multiple theories, the Hinterkaifeck farm murders remain one of Germany's most infamous unsolved cases. In 2011, a re-examination of evidence hinted at a possible serial killer theory, but leads eventually went cold once more. The family's memories continue to haunt those who dare to remember. As we conclude our journey into Germany's dark past, it's impossible to ignore the haunting question: who could have committed such a heinous crime? Though justice may never be served, the Hinterkaifeck murders remind us that even in the most tranquil of settings, terror can lurk. And so, we remember the Schreiber family, whose names echo through time like an eternal whisper. The truth will remain hidden, but it won't forget. Note, the final thought is a nod to the lasting impact and memory of the victims, as well as the mystery that continues to captivate those who explore this case. As the investigation continued, new details emerged that would challenge everything investigators thought they knew about the case. As the investigation continued, new details emerged that would challenge everything investigators thought they knew about the case. As the investigation continued, new details emerged that would challenge everything investigators thought they knew about the case. To this day, the case continues to captivate investigators and amateur sleuths alike. The truth, whatever it may be, remains hidden in the shadows of history.